Problem 1A says a truck driver drove 5,647 miles in August, 4,739 miles in September, and 4,429 miles in October. In November, he drove 1,094 more miles than he drove in August. How many miles did the driver travel in November? One of the things that they like to do on word problems is they like to try to give us extra information, which a lot of times people will call trash. They try to give us this extra information that we don't really need. So we're going to take a look at our word problem, and I'm going to show you all a quick way to figure out what parts do you need and what parts are trash. Okay? In a word problem, a lot of times you would think always start at the beginning. What I'm going to tell you guys is start with the end. Find your question first. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, how do I know where my question is? How do I know when something is the question or not? Remember, the question will have a question mark. So when I have a word problem, the first thing I'm going to try to find is that question mark, because then I know I found my question. Then, after I find my question mark, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find my question word. To find the question word, I'm going to go backwards from the question mark. And usually I just use my pencil and I leave it on the paper and I just go backwards. November is not a question word. In is not a question word. Travel is not. Neither is driver. The is not a question word. Did is not. Miles is not. Many is not. How. How is a question word. I'm going to circle that too. I circle my question word and my question mark. Irene, do you have a question? No? No question? Okay. So, I circle my question word, my question mark. Then I'm going to read that question again because I need to know what they're asking me. How many miles did the driver travel in November? So they're asking about the miles in November. So that's the one they want. They want miles in November. So now I know exactly what to look for. I need to look for miles in November. Now I can look through my word problem and I'm going to try to find that word November. Let's see. Truck driver drove. Is August? Not August. Yes, ma'am. Erin. Can you hear me, Irene? Okay. We'll see if maybe reconnecting to the call helps her out. I'm looking for November. This tells me about August. I don't need to know about August. This tells me September. I don't need to know about September. This tells me October. I don't need to know October. In November. Here's something good. In November, he drove 1,094 more miles That more is really, really important to me. So that more is a very, very important word there. More tells me that this number here, the number they gave me, is not how many miles he drove. The word more tells me that it's something that's extra, added to something else here. 1,094 more miles than he drove in August. Okay, so now I gotta go back and I have to find August. Truck driver drove 5,647 miles in August. Okay, so they told me to look for November. I found November. November told me that I also needed August. So I found August. But I don't need September and I don't need October. Those two are extra. Those two are, sometimes people call them trash. I don't need those numbers. They put those numbers in there to see if they can try to trick me or fool me into using the wrong numbers. So long as I'm careful, that won't happen. Now we have to figure out what operation do I need to use. So first, we're going to start off with August. Okay? It was 5,647 miles in August. So I'm going to go ahead and draw myself a little rectangle here, a little bar. And inside that bar, I'm going to put my number, the one for August. 5,647. And then on top of it, I'm going to put a letter A for August. Because that's how much they drove in August. It tells me for November that they drove 1,094 more miles. So they're saying that there were extra miles. So I'm going to add an extra part to my rectangle, my bar here. I'm going to add an extra part. And that extra part is 1,094. And for November, November is not just the extra. November is August and the extra. So I'm going to draw kind of like a bubble, squeezing the two parts together. And I'm going to put an N for November. So November was my August and my extra. Who can tell me which one of my four operations could I use to do this? What operation would help me the most here? Would I use addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? Bailey, what operation do you think will help me the most here? Adding, because all I'm trying to do is combine these numbers, right? I want to put the extra with August, so my best choice is to add. And for these problems that we're doing today, that's all we're trying to figure out is what operation do I want to use? So for problem 1A, I need to add those numbers because I'm trying to put them together. Okay. I'm going to look at problem 1B now, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look through it, and we're going to figure out what operation should I use. An amusement park hired 54 students and 9 adults to work last summer. This summer, the park hired 72 students. How many more students were hired to work this summer than last summer? Okay, just like problem 1A. I'm going to start by actually looking at the end. I want to start with my question. My question mark is at the very end of my problem. I'm going to go backwards from my question mark and find my question word. Summer, last, than, summer, this, work, to, hired, were, students, more, many, how. How is my question word. How many more students were hired to work this summer than last summer? So I know what my question is. How many more students were hired to work this summer than last summer? How many more students? So this is what they're asking me. How many more students were hired to work this summer than last summer? So I know I need to pay attention to students this summer and students last summer. Now I'm going to go looking for that information. An amusement park hired 54 students. Okay, here we have some students. And 9 adults to work last summer. Okay, so this was last summer. 54 students last summer. This summer, okay, I already know this is important because it says this summer. This summer, the park hired 72 students. Okay, so I have my students for last summer. I have my students for this summer. And again, they gave me some extra, some trash. I don't need to know about how many adults they hired. That's not part of my question. I don't need to pay attention to. Okay. So now we're going to do some comparing. If I'm going to compare, the best thing to do to compare is like if you were going to compare how tall you were with somebody else. You would both stand right next to each other and you could see if there was a difference between the tops of your heads. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to put an L for last summer. And I'm going to put a T for this summer. Last summer, they said that they hired 54 students. This was last summer. Right next to it, they said that they hired 72 students this summer. So I wanted to be sure that my two rectangles, my two bars were right next to each other. So I can see that they're not the same, that they're different. One stops here, the other one stops here. When they say how many more, what they're asking me is how much more? What's the number that belongs in this part? So that's my question. What is the number that goes here? Who can tell me which one of my 4 operations seems like it would help the most here? Addition, fraction, multiplication, or division? Which operation seems like it might be the most useful? Jada, what do you think? What operation do you think is the best choice, Jada? Subtraction, perfect. Subtraction is the best choice for this. When I'm trying to compare something, I want to subtract. They even used one of those key words we talked about last week. They used the word than. That's one of my key words that lets me know, hey, start thinking about subtraction. It's probably going to be a good idea. Yes, Violet.
The screen is blurry.
Is it? I'm sorry, baby. Let me see if I can get it to work. Okay. So 2A. This is our next one here. Yes, Kylie. Nancy bought 3 different color rolls of ribbon for a tablecloth. Each roll of ribbon contained 63 feet of ribbon. How many 9-foot pieces can Nancy cut from one roll of ribbon? Yes, ma'am. Okay. The second problem was subtraction. No problem. And now we're taking a look at 2A. Again, I'm going to start kind of at the end. I can see my question mark is right there at the end of my problem. I'm going to go backwards from the question mark and find my question word. Ribbon of roll 1 from cut. Nancy can pieces foot 9 many how. So how is my question word again? How is a very popular question word today? How many 9-foot pieces can Nancy cut from one roll of ribbon? Okay, so we're looking for 9-foot pieces. And Nancy cut from one roll of ribbon. So they don't want us to use all of the ribbon. They want us to use just one roll. And they want us to cut it into pieces, 9-foot pieces. So I want to find one roll of ribbon. Nancy bought 3 different color rolls of ribbon for a tablecloth. Each roll of ribbon contains 63 feet of ribbon. Okay, 63 feet of ribbon. And they use one of the most useful keywords that there is. They use the word each. If they use the word each for something that we need, like in this case, we needed the feet of ribbon, and they use the word each. If they use the word each in something that you need, I want you to automatically start thinking of 2 operations: multiplication or division. That is a big, big, big clue. Multiplication or division. Okay? if you're gonna use the word each, if it's not part of something like trash that we didn't need, it's part of something we did need, automatically start thinking multiplication or division. Because they're letting you know that it's going to be the same number. It's going to keep repeating. It's going to be equal. Okay, so she's got this long roll of ribbon. 63 feet of it. I'm going to draw a really long bar this time. 63 feet of ribbon. I guess she's planning a pretty big party. Now, for her party, she's not going to leave this ribbon all in one piece. She's going to cut it into smaller pieces. And each piece is going to be 9 feet. Now, we know just looking at the numbers, if she only cuts one piece, she's still going to have a lot of ribbon left. So she can cut a couple of pieces. But they're asking us how many of those pieces, how many times can she keep cutting? We don't know. So what operation could help me figure out how many pieces she can cut from this one roll? Haley, I see your hand in there. Division, perfect. If she's cutting the ribbon, she's not going to suddenly get more ribbon, right? That's not the way it works. I wish, because then every time you ate pizza, you'd eat one slice and you'd get 2 slices back. It'd be wonderful. Perfect. But that's not the way it works. So when she's cutting the ribbon, it's going to get smaller and smaller. So in this case, we're going to be dividing. All right. One last problem solving question for today. In Mrs. Sterling's 4th grade class, 6 girls and 3 boys were asked to count packages of construction paper. The packages of construction paper included 7 assorted colors each. Each of the students counted 18 packages of the construction paper. How many packages did the girls count? Okay. So again, start at the end. Start with your question. My question mark is at the very end of the question. And it usually will be. There's a couple of problems where it's not going to be at the very end, but it will always be close to it. So I find my question mark. Now we go backwards and we find my question word. Count, girls, the, did, packages, many, how. It's really popular today. All of them have been how. Okay, so we're looking for, we found our question. It says, how many packages did the girls count? Okay, so they're looking for packages that the girls counted. Okay, so those are the 2 things I need to focus on. Packages, girls. Yeah. So let's look. In Mrs. Sterling's 4th grade class, 6 girls, okay, so there's girls, that's important, and 3 boys were asked to count packages of construction paper. Since they're just asking about the girls, do we need to know about the boys? No, we don't need to know about the boys for this question. The packages of construction paper included 7 assorted colors each. Did they ask us anything about the colors? No. They said about packages and girls. They didn't say anything about colors. Each of the students counted 18 packages of the construction paper. Do I need to know about the 18 packages? Was that part of my question? Let's see. How many packages did the girls count? Do they talk about packages in my question, Ezekiel? What do you think? It says, how many packages did the girls count? So do I need to know about packages?
Yes.
Yes. It's talking about packages here, so I definitely need it. 18 packages. And look what they did again. They gave me that word, each. There were two operations I told you to think of when you see that word each with something that we need. What were those two, Ezekiel? The two operations. If they say each, we need to think of what?
Times.
Multiplication is one of them. And then what's the other one?
Division.
Division. Do me a favor, Ezekiel, take your hand. Kiss your brain. Fantastic job. When I say, or when I see each with one of those numbers we need, it's telling me, start thinking multiplication or division. Now we just need to see which one of those we need for this problem. Okay, so we have 18 packages that they counted. But these 18 packages were counted by, it says each of the students. So that means that this was just one girl. One girl counted 18 packages. Was there only one girl counting? Or was there more than one girl? There was more than one, right, Kylie? How many? Can you tell me? 6. Okay, I'm going to show you a trick. Because this is math and it isn't art, I don't want to use a lot of my time drawing. I want to use most of my time doing math. So instead of drawing 6 boxes and putting 18, 18, 18, 18, I'm going to do a little shortcut. Okay? So I have one box with 18. I know that's one girl. So next to that box, I'm going to say to myself, it keeps happening and happening, happening 6 times. There's 6 girls. Because again, this is math, not art. So I don't want to spend all of my time putting box and box and box and box and box and box and having to write 18, 18, 18, 18, 18, 18. Right now, that's not so bad. But if they told us that there were 20 girls, I don't want to have to sit here and draw 20 boxes. I also don't want to run out of room. Or if they tell me that there was 50 girls or 100 girls, I don't want to sit here and draw 50 boxes or 100 boxes. I'm going to waste my time, my space on my paper, and the lead in my pencil. I can do this and do the same thing a lot quicker. Okay, so I know that every single girl is counting, and every single girl is counting 18. So who can tell me what operation would I use for this problem? What operation seems like it would work the best here? Brianna?
Multiplication.
This is multiplication because as every girl is counting, the number is going to keep going up and up and up. So multiplication is the best choice for this one. Because if every single girl is counting, they're not going to end up with a smaller number. They're going to end up with a bigger number. Okay, so we're going to stop there with our problem solving for today. Just like with the skills last week, put this paper back with the packet, put it somewhere that you're not going to lose it, because we're not finished with it. We're just done with it for today.